A fantastic day today, and I'm gonna share some of the reasons with you, and also kind of give you a little bit of advisement. Something that kind of occurred to me today, and so I'm sitting here in traffic, just having left Whole Foods to get some goodies. But anyhow, I had some follow-ups with some of my patients that all live out of state. One over in Arizona, another in California, another one in Tennessee. So a little shout out to those guys. If you know who you are, feel free to go ahead and say, hey, he was talking about me. So anyhow, long story short, I'm listening to podcasts that I subscribe to. And if you haven't fallen in love with podcasts yet, boy, are you missing out. If you want to detox away from TV and radio and all the same music that's boots and pants and stuff like that, especially when you're in traffic, feed your brain. Podcasts. That's Balance Protocol 101. And if you need one to be referred to, of course, head over to iTunes and do a search for Balance Protocol Podcast. So if you haven't done that, or if you didn't know I had an iTunes, that's probably because I'm not the world's greatest disseminator of information to the community, but I'm working on that. So, end of the day, podcasts are fantastic. I was listening to some of the other folks that are out there in the health and wellness space, and they have guests on, and they're oftentimes falling victim to some of the same mistakes that I see that I had to discuss actually with my patients today. So it's kind of funny how they all culminated. And what I'm talking about is the difference between content, and in the internet world, it's always about content. Like what I'm doing right now is called content. So we always want to make sure we have good content to keep you folks engaged and loving us and listening to what we have to say and sharing our goodies and changing the world together. But what oftentimes is missing is something that's even way more important than content, and that is called context. So when it comes down to it, I see so many people get caught up in the worlds of health and wellness and fitness and things like that, all talking about different subjects like low T or low testosterone if they're talking to men, or weight loss and fat burning and get your testosterone levels up, and how wonderful vitamin D is, and everybody should be popping vitamin D pills. Well, of course, it's not a vitamin, it's actually a pro-hormone, so you're messing with fire, but I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But the thing about it is none of these programs have the most vital and central theme that should be expressed in all of those. And what is that? It's you. You are the focus of all of that content. You provide the context because of two things: your biochemical individuality, which is a term for how you are absolutely unique. Just like a snowflake, you are a category of one. You have your own metabolic fingerprint, okay? Biochemical individuality. Number two, your genetic uniqueness. We all know that we're genetically different, even twins, believe it or not, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to making sure that you understand that if you're going to filter any of the information through that sounds like it's applying to a symptom or a problem that you might have or something like that, you have to realize that if you don't know the context of how it applies to you, or even if it does apply to you, it's like taking a handful of darts and throwing them at a dartboard and hoping one hits the bullseye. If you want to do that little scientific experiment and see how many times it does and record your statistic, get back to me on that. I'd love to hear about it. But it just doesn't work. So like so many people, like my patients today, reminded me of how fantastic it is to actually have a framework, Balance Protocol, to basically provide a virtual GPS for them. How do they find out what is their answers to them n equals 1? So if you know about statistics or studies, it's n equals 1. N is the number of people in the study. So you're your own study. But the problem is, if you don't have an understanding of all the variables that make you uniquely you, you're going to be missing out, and you're going to spin your wheels, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're not going to get the results that you want. Well, there's a very simple way to avoid all of that, and it's what I call the quantified self. You have to measure you, and not just one particular thing, like, oh, I need my libido to be better, and I heard testosterone does it. Oh, I want to prevent cancer and all the benefits and stuff of vitamin D, so I'm going to test my vitamin D, and then if it's low, I'm just going to take more of that. If my testosterone's low, I'm going to start shooting shots in my butts. Well, at the end of the day, that doesn't work, because your body is not just one thing. Now, where that mentality comes from is our conventional name it, blame it, tame it model, or conventional medicine today, which is an acute care model, where if something's wrong with your girl or guy parts, we have a specialist for that. Something's wrong with your heart, there's a specialist for that. There's something wrong with your skin, we got a specialist for that. I mean, who is the keeper of the faith? Well, the thing is who is going to look at how all of those things affect each other? And that's what you have to keep in mind when you hear something on a podcast or a blog or something like that that might apply to you. It's kind of like what you see on commercials. Ask your doctor if X and X drug is right for you. So people go, well, yeah, I do that. All that makes sense to me. I do have fatigue and insomnia and low libido, and sometimes I feel a little depressed or a little, not so well. I'm gonna go to my doctor and say, hey, can I have this drug? And what do you think they're gonna do? They're going to oblige you. That's what they do. They give a pill for every ill. But then there's individuals who's like, well, I don't do that. I go to a holistic practitioner. My health coach gives me this. Well, that's the exact same broken model. A pill for every ill. The difference is you're not getting in a little orange bottle with a white cap. You're actually getting in all kinds of little pills, potions, and powders and stuff. And if they have not quantified you, if you have not had a practitioner to actually look at all the interwoven systems that make you uniquely you and filter it through your own genetics, something we call epigenetic controls and single nucleotide polymorphisms and all that other kind of fun stuff, well, then you're taking that handful of darts and throwing it out the dartboard and hoping some will stick, much less even get into the bullseye. So what I don't want you to do is succumb to that noise and confusion that's out there, okay? Because things like say, hey, listen, low testosterone. Well, guess what? Testosterone doesn't work without a whole bunch of other nutrient cofactors, okay? Little ones like zinc and boron and B6, and the same thing like with vitamin D. Everybody's popping pro-hormone D because their doctor's like, oh, well, yeah, they're testing for nutrients. They took a look at my vitamin D and it was low. So the answer is to go and pop some vitamin D pills because we can't go in the sun because that causes cancer. Well, that's a crock of crap too, and there's no supporting a premise for that, but don't get me started. But here's the thing. Prohormone D is dependent upon other nutrients, like for instance magnesium. So if you don't have adequate magnesium, you can take all that vitamin D you want orally and it's not going to work. Why is it that? Well, because that 25 hydroxy vitamin D that people are testing in the blood and they're trying to get to be 50 to 100. The thing about it is that's just the storage form. That's like saying, hey, listen, I'm going to assess how well my car runs by seeing how much gas is in the tank. It doesn't tell you what's going on in the engine. It doesn't tell you anything except that that's how much is in storage. There's an active component to vitamin D. It's actually 1.25 hydroxy. So vitamin D actually gets converted to its active form in the kidneys. That process is magnesium dependent. And then the target receptor for vitamin D is in the bowels, and it is magnesium dependent. So if ever you have vitamin D deficiency, it's a magnesium deficiency, right? But that's another chemical biopathway lesson. Here's the point. You can't just take one little piece of content and expect to understand and assess the context, which is you, to try to remediate symptoms that you might be having. So I hope this makes sense to you. So I had to go over this with my patients today, reminding them because inadvertently, even when we're going through balanced protocol, they're still thinking, well, they start getting all well and everybody around them sees it and they start saying, hey, what about this? Do you treat this and do you treat that? And my answer is no. I don't treat disease. I treat people. Does that make sense? So you say, well, do you have any experience with rheumatoid arthritis? Well, yeah, I can reverse that too. What about migraines? That too. Endometriosis, PCOS, breast cancer. Yeah, all that stuff is reversible because I don't treat it. I treat the whole person. The diagnosis is just the name it, blame it, tame it game that they're throwing pills at, whether it be conventional or alternative or holistic or anything like that. Don't fall victim to that kind of stuff. So consume all the information you can out there. Share your story, ask questions, always be asking why, not what, okay? There's a lot of people that will tell you what, they'll give you content, but there's not too many people out there that will give you context, which is the why. You're the why, and you're the context. So if this makes sense to you, and you have any questions, if you want further examples or something like that, or yet something that's bugging you, I am here for you. That's what Balance Nation is for. So please feel free to reach out to me. You can do it through the Facebook group here, or if you don't want to type it, you can head over to DrAnthonyGbeck.com. Over on the right-hand side, you can actually send me a voicemail via the internet. And if it's a cool question, you want me to cover it in an upcoming podcast, tell me that, and then I'll go in that particular regard. If it's a really good juicy question, I might even make you a personal video like I'm doing now. Gives me something to do while I'm driving, which I am hands-free, by the way. All right, guys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, because I had a fantastic day today. I just want to share with you guys, and I was thinking about how common it is for so many people to get lost in the content that's out there and forget the very context that makes it most important, and that's you and you being so unique. So until next time, guys, live life in balance.